I call to order this regular meeting of the Monument Town Council, Monday, May 4th. May the 4th be with you. Please rise for the pledge. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I'm wondering which republic we're standing for today. Is it the Galactic Republic? Ms. Erickson, will you please take roll?
Mayor LaKind,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem King,
Here.
Councilmember Smith,
Here.
Councilmember Fiorito,
Present.
Councilmember Chronic,
Here.
Councilmember Kimple,
Here.
and Councilmember Abbott is noted absent.
Okay, any disclosures of conflicts of interest?
No, Mayor.
Great, thank you. Before us, we have an agenda and our consent agenda. Any modifications to either? If not, I will look for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda and agenda as presented.
Second.
You're good, it passed.
All right, that motion passed 6-0. All right, first up, public comments. For items not on the agenda, individuals attending in person may raise their hand to indicate their desire to comment. Individuals attending via Teams may raise their hand digitally to comment via connected devices. Please lower your hand when finished with your comments. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. Is there anybody here in Town Hall that would like to comment? Ms. Lesby, Mrs. Lesby.
First.
Anytime you feel like you would like to sign in.
Well, I'll do it at the end. I'm going to read this just so that I stay on track and stay within 3 minutes. So I will try to make eye contact. But my name's Karen Lesby, and I have been a resident of Monument for 8 years. I live in the village center of Woodmore neighborhood on the other side of I-25. This evening, I really wish to address the importance of implementing some enhanced commercial and residential design standards within the town of Monument. My focus is specifically on the aspects of color and, in certain situations, architectural features. I believe that these design standards should be formally established in the Monument Municipal Code, serving as a baseline for all developments. They should not be subject to individual negotiation for each residential development or planned unit development. Although the land use development codes include some general site design standards, including specific standards for the downtown area, I urge that these be expanded to encompass other types of development throughout the Monument area. As a resident of Monument, I'm deeply disappointed with the color schemes adopted in the Classic Homes Monument Junction housing development along Jackson Creek Parkway, as well as those used on the larger buildings in the Falcon Commerce Center. The colors chosen for these structures are incompatible with our natural environment. Rather than blending into the landscape, they stand out in stark contrast. These examples are a daily source of concern for me, as my husband would tell you if he were here. When I moved into the village center at Woodmore, all new and existing homes in the area were painted or stuccoed in natural colors, including beiges, tans, browns, grays, blues, and other earth tones. White was not permitted except as a trim color, a standard that the HOA continues to uphold. Unfortunately, the Classic Homes development presents a sharp contrast to color schemes of the village center, Highlands, and other neighborhoods that are adjacent because it has a predominantly white and black palette. The large buildings in the Falcon Commerce Center, though painted a shade of gray, still stand out against the surrounding forests. Ideally, these buildings should blend in rather than dominate the visual landscape. While I appreciate that they are not painted white as originally planned, I believe that a standardized natural color palette at a minimum would help soften the impact of ongoing development along I-25 and be more palatable to local residents like me. Having previously lived in heavily developed Denver for over 40 years, I greatly appreciate the more open and natural environment of Monument. My hope is that future development will better harmonize with this distinctive environment. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Couldn't have said it better, Karen.
I'm nervous.
Yeah, you don't have to be nervous.
Is there any other people in town hall that would like to make public comment? Okay, Will, is there anybody online that would like to make public comment?
There are no hands raised, Mayor.
Okay, then we will close public comment. And we have a proclamation for National Police Week. Our new lieutenant will say a few words, and then our proclamation reader extraordinaire.
Good evening, council, and good evening, folks in the audience and those online. So I stand before you as Lieutenant Mitch Mahalko of the Monument Police Department. And I'm proud to be standing before you because I'm representing those men and women of the Monument Police Department and the law enforcement agencies here in the region. So National Police Week is coming up in May, and National Police Week really is focused on two things. The first being that of recognizing the sacrifice that law enforcement officers throughout the United States have given in the ultimate sacrifice of their lives in the line of duty. To give you an example of that, we have in 2025 over 111 officers according to the national databases, and ODMP, which is the Officer Down Memorial page, says 115 officers lost their lives in the line of duty. So far this year, ODMP also recognizes 35 officers losing their lives in 2026. The second part of National Police Week really goes back to recognition of what the men and women of law enforcement do. A lot of people see us out there enforcing traffic and doing some kind things at times as well. But there are various things that the law enforcement officers do for public safety that not only include enforcement, but also community relations, outreach, and taking care of the community members on a daily basis. So for that, I want to thank you for reading this proclamation, and we humbly accept this proclamation as well.
Thank you. Marco?
Proclamation to recognize May 10 through May 16 as Police Week. Whereas in 1962, President John F. Kennedy proclaimed May 15 as National Peace Officers Memorial Day and the calendar week in which May 15 falls as National Police Week. And whereas there are more than 800,000 law enforcement officers serving in communities across the United States, including the dedicated members of the Monument Police Department. And whereas since 1776, more than 27,000 law enforcement officers in the United States have been killed in the line of duty. And whereas the names of these dedicated public servants are engraved on the walls of the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial in Washington, D.C., and whereas 111 police officers were killed in the line of duty in 2025, and whereas the service and sacrifice of all officers killed in the line of duty will be honored during the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial Fund's annual Candlelight Vigil on the evening of May 13th, 2026, and whereas May 15th is designated as Peace Officers Memorial Day in honor of all fallen officers and their families, and U.S. flags should be flown at half staff. Now, therefore, the Monument Town Council hereby proclaims May 10 through May 16, 2026 as Police Week in the Town of Monument and publicly salutes the service of law enforcement officers in our community and across the nation. Proclaimed this 4th day of May, 2026.
Thank you, Marco. All right, next up, we have a presentation, which will be an introduction on a draft roadway and pavement design standard manual. Who will be the tag team? Will this be displayed on the overhead also?
Yes.
Well, good evening. I'm Dan, and this is,
Andrew.
we represent the Planning Department and Public Works Department.
Dan and Andrew Show.
That's Dan and Andrew Show, and we want to just prove to you that planning and public works can get along and do good work. So tonight, we're going to provide you an introduction, along with our town engineer, an introduction to the town's roadway and pavement design standards manual or draft thereof. This manual is a critical tool for creating safe, efficient, and sustainable transportation and infrastructure. The standards ensure compliance with legal requirements, support community needs, and promote longevity of the town's roadway investment. Should I continue?
Of course.
Okay, very good. Last October, Town Council, you requested the town engineer and staff update the town's RDS manual, which was last updated in 2010. Tonight's updated draft manual reflects the collaboration efforts of the Public Works Department, the Planning Department, and IMEG, or our town engineer's broader team of technical experts. The final version of the manual will be adopted by resolution of the Town Council and will be used to guide the planning and construction of the town's capital improvement projects, as well as regulate development for the town of Monument. The purpose of tonight's presentation, similar to other presentations in the recent past, is to introduce the draft manual to Town Council and the public. No action is being asked of you tonight. The final manual will be brought back to you, brought back to council for consideration and approval on June 1st, 2026. The document itself is not included in the packet, but links have been provided. It's a rather heavy document providing many details that Shelley will kind of give you a summary of tonight. Thank you.
Good evening, Town Council. We're very pleased tonight, as Dan outlined in presenting this roadway design standards and pavement design standards for you. Some keynotes here to go through as you start reviewing this document. There was a definite need for this, right? 2010 was the last time something was formally adopted. There's certain elements like growth pressure in Monument itself, need for clear, consistent, and modern standards. Dirt is dirt, but it actually changes in 26 years. So, and it's more than dirt now. This is aligned with safety, cost efficiency, and community character. This fits more within what the community is trying to achieve now. And the roadway design standards are sort of the foundation for that. In this new document, it addresses the conflicts with the municipal code. There were quite a few outdated references and such that caused some confusion and questioning. So we've addressed that. It's going to help with our review efficiencies. Right now, when a developer comes in and says, what are our design standards? And we reference 3 different drainage criteria manuals. And they just sort of look at us cross-eyed saying, well, that doesn't really help because there's a lot of conflicts within those 3 manuals. So this really, it consolidates all of the wants, all of the standards that we're looking for. And then lastly, it takes out the gray areas of those conflicts. So I'm going to pass it over to Shelley, and she's going to tell you a little bit more about this.
Good deal. I know it's hard to get excited about 450 pages of technical criteria, but I'm going to try to get you there, okay? This is going to be a way to make things, to modernize things, to make them clear, and to make them concise. And what that does is it not only helps your legal authority, it helps developers knowing how much it's going to cost them to build roads in the town of Monument. And it helps keep plan review objective and concise because the rules are there. There's no, not as much room for interpretation as is currently in your 2010 roadway standards. So we've removed all that. We've added additional guidance as far as policy and permitting and details. We've aligned the document with current engineering principles and practices, with AASHTO standards, MUTCD, ITE, ADA, and PROAG. And boy, don't we all love our acronyms? And because we love them so much, there is a section in the new manual that describes what each of those arduously mean. We've clearly defined submittal requirements and made it really clear how you get from point A to point B when your plans, your construction documents include roadway design. It's going to be really clear what you need to do. And again, consistency. So in this document, there's 9 chapters. The first establishes your authority and staff's authority, policy, general requirements. Chapter 2 covers all the acronyms we love so much, common abbreviations, definitions, and units of measure. The third chapter gets deeply into submittal process and what permits are required. Chapter 4 is called design elements, but that tells people how wide streets need to be, what the slopes need to be, all the technical detail that goes into designing a street. And there's a lot of it, believe it or not. There's a lot. Roadway access requirements are something that are barely covered in your current standards, and these new access standards will help define where driveways can be placed, how far apart they need to be, how many driveways can be on an arterial versus a local road, because you can't have them everywhere. It causes crashes. Just ask PD where the crashes are most prevalent, and it's where you have uncontrolled driveway access coming onto major roads. We talk about traffic control devices, including stop signs and signals. Street light design, which those street lights are typically designed by one of the electric providers. We want to give you some oversight over that and determine where in intersections lights are placed and minimum spacing, things like that. We get into the nitty gritty on pavement design, which is unexciting as all the rest of this is. That is really the dullest of it all. We can talk ESAL and temperature the asphalt has to be when they place it. And I mean, it's a lot of detail that only engineers can love. And then there's standard details, and you went from maybe 30 standard details to about 110. And they're clear and concise. They're not, the current standards have duplicated or Xeroxed copies of details that are crooked on the page. These are be clear and concise and a lot easier on the eyes when people try to use them and incorporate them into their plans, which they're typically very proud of and justifiably so. There's an appendix with permit forms and submittal checklists, brand new transportation impact study guidelines, which set a whole new process for traffic impact studies, which will be much improved and gets the process started right at the pre-app meeting. We have adopted and included the Pikes Peak region asphalt specifications, which were just the new version was released just last week. In the document that you have access to is the previous version, but they redo them every year. It's through the Colorado Asphalt and Pavement Association and a bunch of pavement experts here in the Pikes Peak region. And trust me, they're probably some of the best in the state of Colorado. And then as an extra bonus, we give you an appendices on soils investigation reports because the quality of the soil beneath the road is something that's very important. And we want to make sure that the geotechs are providing the information that we want to be able to assure that the pavement design is going to stand the test of time. Okay, so next we get into some key changes. And I think that the right column, the key improvement, is where we'll focus to try to make this a little faster. Under authority and legal alignment, the key improvement is you have stronger legal defensibility. I think the town attorney will appreciate that. For organization and structure, it's much easier to use and interpret. It's streamlined, it's a chapter-based structure. People can easily search and find the information that they're looking for. The submittal requirements were kind of scattered around and dispersed. And now they're standardized. People know what to expect. And this will result in fewer submittals and a faster review and probably, hopefully a little bit faster entitlement process, which will keep staff and the development community happy. Permitting framework, it was pretty limited and pretty informal. What you have now is clear accountability and enforcement, and we have added some new permits, which we can run through really quickly. The traffic analysis, the TIS, I would say this is one of the most improved things. It's predictable. We have a clear roadmap for them to follow, pardon the pun, and we'll get some better traffic impact studies as a result. And I'll just give you an example. Under your current criteria, somebody can come in and prepare a TIS for a PUD that when it starts, you've got a certain traffic load. 5 or 6 years later, when they reach their last phase of development, they don't have to update that master TIS, excuse me. Under the new policy, they'll have to update every 2 years because growth is happening too fast here to depend on a 5-year-old traffic impact study. You're just not getting good numbers. With the design standards, the basic roadway criteria, like I said, slope, width, it's expanded. It's got some multimodal content that you didn't have before. So there's some areas where bicycling is covered where it wasn't before. For example, the street lighting is more consistent and offers, energy efficient design. In pavement design, it's more detailed. You'll have longer lasting infrastructure as a result of it. Standard details, my gosh, you can look at them. You can see that it's going to reduce design variability and reduce field issues. The appendices, those are the practical tools for implementation. And there's a design exception process now instead of letters going back and forth and emails going back and forth. If somebody wants to vary from the standard, there's a design exception process that's detailed, and it results in transparent and defensible decisions by staff, and if it comes to you, by you. So the key improvements: safer streets. We have clear roadway classifications. Roads now have a functional classification based on average daily traffic. We have updated roadway cross sections, in some cases with reduced lane widths. We have consistent intersection and intersection spacing standards. We have improved multimodal accommodation. And again, it's just modernized to align with current engineering practices. So here's your new permits. And I know these are needed because even though we've only been your town engineer since September, a couple of these have come up already. So we know the need for these. These permits are commonly requested by neighboring jurisdictions, and it's something that we feel is important to bring into your standards. Haul route permit
If somebody's moving hundreds of thousands of yards of dirt and they're trucking it, we want to know where those trucks are going and what kind of impact they're going to have. It's not covered in a transportation impact study. That's just looking at their traffic that's generated with their development. It's not looking at the truck traffic that's generated during construction. So we're going to look at that. This process will allow oversight of that. Encroachment permit. This provides a clear criteria for allowable encroachments into the town's right of way, such as retaining walls and other things that come up, and makes it very clear what kind of encroachments allowed and what is prohibited. Special transport permits, where you have large loads on roads that can't handle them based on their functional classification. There's a process, and they'll have an application fee if somebody wants to bring an oversized load into the town of Monument. Excavation permits. This means that if somebody goes out and needs to cut a trench across one of Monument's roads, they're going to have to get an excavation permit, and staff will have oversight and inspection over making sure that what's placed under your road is to your standard, and what the asphalt surface looks like isn't going to cause degradation of that road and shorten its anticipated length of service. Street lighting maintenance agreement, something that's not formalized in your current standards, and it's like who maintains them, and we're going to have that question answered before a project goes to construction. Retaining wall permit, enough said there. We know they're needed. And then lastly, or second to lastly, we have this slide that talks about the implementation strategy. This is a short turnaround. The reason for that is, it needs to be expeditious because you have details in your current standards that aren't even following federal ADA guidelines. And it's come up in review where somebody had a street designed, and when it got to my desk, I said, your ADA ramps aren't meeting current ADA and ProWeg standards. So they said, well, we used your detail. It's like, sorry, but they're going to have to be changed. So things like that we'll be eliminating through this, and that's the reason for the fast rollout. Okay. And I think this is the last slide, second to last slide. What this means for you as a community, it really clear standards. It's like with a better cookbook, you get a better cake. And people are probably sick of hearing me say that. That's my favorite analogy when it comes to design standards, but it's the truth. It's the difference between baking a cake and not knowing what your ingredients are to baking one and knowing what's expected of you, what your outcome is predictable, and you end up with something that everybody can take pride in, the person who's preparing it and the people who are living it on the receiving end by eating it. And right there's where my analogy falls apart. Anyway, so what it means for Monument is faster and more predictable development review, safer and more consistent infrastructure, reduced long-term maintenance costs, which is huge, stronger legal defensibility, and better experience for residents, business owners, and applicants across the board. So what are the next steps? The draft will be posted and circulated for public comment. The public comment period ends on the 15th of this month. The final document will be prepared and in your packet on June 1st and presented along with a resolution for adoption on June 1st. And it will be effective immediately upon approval of the resolution. And then I do have some changes and amendments that need to happen to Chapter 18 to make the two documents agree. So we'll be working on that simultaneously. And with that, Taylor will stand for questions. I'm just going to go sit.
So I will tell you that I personally thought this was going to be a riveting read, but when I tried to open it, it broke my laptop. And no, I'm just kidding. I did scan through some of the 460 pages of it, but knowing that this was going to be a presentation, we've got some time to read through it and you will get questions. I'm sure. And so we're going back to Title 18. How much of, because we've been redoing Title 18. How much more of Title 18 will be adjusted?
So we're actually looking at redoing Title 18 in two phases. This first phase that'll begin later this month or in early June will be to reorganize, eliminate some of the conflicts that have been identified to make it a smoother, more consistent document. Phase two will then be us implementing what we've learned through the Monument 2040 or comprehensive plan update. That's where we'll be working to address design guidelines, the downtown master plan, placemaking, dark sky, all the things that we've been talking about since the beginning of the comp plan discussion. So that'll be taken care of in phase two. And ultimately we'll have this adopted document that the planning department, public works and so on will be able to use to enforce and help protect and maintain this community and the vision that it has for itself.
Comments, questions for staff or
Yes.
our engineer?
Good,
Okay.
good.
I have 5 to start.
I have more than 5.
So my first question is, well, first, thank you. Great job putting it together. So gonna nitpick just a little bit, just to make sure that we're dotting i's and crossing t's and we're all on the same page. Because I think we're getting to a point where we need to be.
Absolutely.
Your definitions, your roadway definitions, whether it's a major, minor, artery, collector, that kind of thing. Are those definitions the same as what we would find in the El Paso County traffic plan? So there's no conflict of,
Yes.
because we've gone through that in the past.
Yes.
So I want to make sure that we're married up and paired exactly the same. So we're not playing mom against dad type deal when it comes to design plans and expectations, width of the roadway, that kind of thing.
Yeah. That is the intent, is to marry those up with the El Paso County standards. We'll be sure to cross-check that one.
Thank you. We'll go into dark sky, which is a big thing. That's what everyone wants. To me, I am all for dark sky. One of the downfalls of dark sky is at the crosswalks, it's pretty dark. Yeah, well, the cars can't see like me. Oh, I've almost been hit on a couple of occasions. I don't know if this was on purpose or not, but anyway.
It's total accident.
Yeah. So and I know one time was my wife driving. Signage. I know that other areas in the El Paso County, when they have a crosswalking sign, if they hit a button, it starts to flash. Is that something, and I'm looking at Dan, is that something maybe we can put into design plans or have moving forward?
So
It would be like the crosswalk,
The sign.
the sign itself, the outline of the sign starts to flash if you hit a button to indicate. It's just another aid for the driver saying somebody's in that intersection, because as much as we want to tell our children to dress bright, they like to wear dark clothes, dark skies. It's not a good combination. There is a lot of blind spots in the town of Monument on the roadways as well. So just thinking safety
Sure.
first.
So there's kind of a two-pronged, maybe even three-pronged approach to that. First is, depending on the functional classification of the road, mid-block crossings aren't allowed. So that improves safety. People have to cross the street at a regular intersection. The new standards, they have to have certain criteria to get a mid-block crossing. There has to be a regional trail, some reason to have a mid-block crossing. Otherwise, pedestrians are encouraged to cross at intersections where cars are expecting them to be. Right.
And are lighted.
Yes. Then if you have special circumstances where there's a school, the standards will ask that they follow the manual on uniform traffic control devices for signage and signaling. So a school crossing, for example, might be required to have a hawk signal, which is like a flashing warning beacon for people. There's also, when they do their TIS, if there is an area where sight distance is reduced due to the topography, it's the RDS administrator, which would be Taylor. Taylor can request additional signage or additional lighting based on the exact condition of what's going on in that street.
Okay.
For the crossing buttons and what you're talking about, those would only be at the higher functional classifications of roadways where there's a traffic signal.
For the full-
And before somebody can place a traffic signal, there has to be a warrant for it. So people can't just say, I want to put a traffic signal here or a stop sign here to slow traffic down so they can see their sign on their building or something. There has to be a warrant for it.
Okay, thank you. Next question, and something I was going to bring up later on in our council comments, but because we're talking about construction, right? And I don't know if this is the right place to have this in there or if it's in another part or updating it in another part, Dan, is the dust plan. Monument is notorious for heavy winds and the mounds of dirt while they're doing construction, whether it's for a roadway or development. I can speak for many people about specifically Jackson Creek. It gets to a point where the winds get kicked up so much that you cannot see while you're driving. So I don't know if that's something that needs to be addressed in here or if it needs to be addressed overall in section 18 or somewhere else.
So it's addressed here, and it's also being addressed in other ways before other portions of your standards get updated, and I'll tell you how.
Okay.
If a development, which includes construction of a road, disturbs more than an acre, we're required to prepare a stormwater management plan. In the stormwater management plan now, in these standards, it requests that they specifically have a section in their swamp regarding fugitive dust. And it says that if a weather event occurs where gusts are greater than 15 miles an hour or where fugitive dust is leaving their site, they have two choices. They can either increase their dust mitigation measures, which translates to putting more water trucks or reducing the speed of trucks that are traveling through the construction zone, or they can shut down. And because we can't have haboobs going across I-25 or off these projects, and I concur, it's been a problem. And another way that we have addressed it is by requesting for developments that are disturbing more than 25 acres that they get the state mandated APN permit, which has a whole nother level of oversight by the state to help with fugitive dust issues and keep them and Monument in compliance with the Clean Air Act.
Okay. Next, speaking of the traffic study, and I'm referring to B TAC 6, TAC 1. Actually, it says in B TAC 6, TAC 1, TAC 2, TAC 1. It says current AM and PM peak hour traffic counts shall be obtained for the roadways within the study area for one non-holiday Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. And if I'm not mistaken, in the past, they did 3 days. They did a Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday peak hours. This says what for one non-holiday Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. And I would also challenge to have put in there that it has to be conducted during the school year. Because in the past, there has been studies performed that were during school holidays or over the summer time frame. And that skirted actual traffic counts. And it skewed the data.
Yeah, we'll get something in there also about, we do need to look at that, and we need to get something in there about seasonal modifications, because CDOT has a whole
section.
There might a whole section on seasonal modifications, so we'll integrate that before it's published.
Yeah, I just think more than one day of a traffic study needs to be done, but unless I'm reading that wrong.
No, you're right.
So, and then lastly, along with the, love the idea of talking about bike lanes and bicycles. But I think there's another factor that needs to be considered and needs to be addressed. We brought this up before about e-bikes. How do we incorporate, how do we handle e-bikes? Some of the other communities, I don't know if it was Thornton or Parker, they just tackled that issue with some new guidance. And I think we need to take a look at that as well. I don't know if it needs, again, I don't know if it needs to specifically go in here, but it might need to
Yeah.
be mentioned. Like where they should be operating, not in the main traffic lanes, but maybe in the bike lane, that kind of thing. Because right now, they're, as an example, they're going up and down Glen Eagle in groups of 3 or 4, doing tricks and stunts and slowing down regular traffic.
All your points are great. I appreciate that. We'll take a look. I don't think the e-bikes can be addressed necessarily by the road design standards, but I think through our code, I have to look at working with the police department for any type of enforcement.
What I'm bringing
And
up
so-
is the e-bikes in the definition of to operate in the bike lane. The bike lanes are set in the definitions here. They're so many feet wide, that kind of thing.
I agree. I think that we have to tackle it through multiple
Okay.
multiple forms. So, but I thank you for bringing that up.
Thanks. That's all I have.
All right. I have a few. Thanks for putting this together. It's really needed. It's 1,000 times better than what we've got. And I definitely appreciate that. I did not read all 460 pages, but there yet. I assume the thickness of the road, so I'm not going to dwell on that. But there are, in our time up here, lots of things have come up on these roads. And so I'm going to ask you some stuff, and I'll send this to you too if you don't want to take notes, but unless you tell me that I'm off my rocker. So first off, and probably Ken got this answer, but our major collectors went from 90 feet right away to 80 feet right away. Is that to keep it consistent with El Paso County, or is there a reason for shrinking that?
So we had meetings, and the widths that we don't want, there's not a short answer, but the current sections that are in your standards, some of them, if you go through and you add lane width, tree lawn, sidewalk width, there's not enough room in the right of way to fit that section. So in those cases, maybe we narrowed the lane. I can't remember specifically on major collector, but I assure you that we checked and made sure that everything added up, and just taking the minimum amount of right of way that's needed to achieve the purpose of getting the roadway in there, that functional classification of roadway. If that
Okay.
makes sense.
What we'll do when we come back for approval, you should have seen the presentation that Shelley had actually created for tonight. It was almost as long as the document itself. But I think we can bring probably give you a cross section and show you what she's talking about specifically. And we can also take a closer look at it too, so that we're not changing a precedent of some sort.
Sure. So I have a question on driveways versus intersections. Because some driveways into heavily commercial projects turn into intersections, but I assume we don't want them to be an intersection. But what does that do as far as like spacing requirements and things like that? Does that turn it into an intersection for spacing if it's signalized and it's a driveway?
Okay,
You want me to-
sure.
And
So commercial driveways are basically the equivalent of a local collector, or lower in some cases, depending on the volume anticipated, the number of trips coming in or out of the site. So they would be treated very similarly to a local collector.
okay, but like, for example, on Jackson Creek Parkway, every business that's off of there is really on like a private road or a road that services multiple lots and things like that. But if we get a road someplace that's, well, and I guess Beacon Lite would be one of them because there's lots of houses and things on there, but there's potential for commercial. Maybe that changes the road classification and it becomes a major collector or maybe even an arterial. And now you've got the kind of non-conforming driveways that are going on there, but maybe there's an so it goes to a major collector, but there's a signal for something that's there. And so that, what does that do to the spacing? Does that make sense?
Yes. So there's a driveway spacing detail. It's detail 200-20, and it talks about driveway spacing based on the functional classification of the road. So for example, if you have a major collector and then you have a local collector that's teeing into it, the distance is set by the highest functional classification of roadway. So in that case, you wouldn't be able to have a driveway within 300 feet of that intersection. And then if there are roads that are accessing a subdivision, for example, like Taylor said, they're not treated like a driveway, they're a road. And they're allowed specific spacing based on the functional classification of the road also. So for example, if you have an arterial and you have a subdivision that wants to come in and place another subdivision access road on that arterial, and there's either an intersection or there's already an access road existing, there's specific spacing criteria based on the functional classification of the road to make sure that those access points aren't too close together or aren't so close together that it decreases driver safety and the traffic movements that people have to make as they come in and out of them. And driveways are precluded from certain functional classifications of roadways. For example, the standards say no residential driveways on collector streets. So if a subdivision has a collector going through it, they have to put all the driveways for the residents on the local roads, and there's no private driveways on that collector because it's dangerous for the people getting in and out, and it's dangerous for the people traveling on them, and that's a pretty universal standard. So that's really captured. It's captured in the access section of the
So
new criteria.
a driveway, would a driveway, if it's not turning into a road, be considered if it went into, like, we've got Target going in on Jackson Creek Parkway. We couldn't have a driveway off of Jackson Creek Parkway into that Target center. It would have to go down another road before it goes into the Target. Is that?
You could, but the movement might be limited based on its spacing from the intersection of Jackson Creek and Baptist, for example. So they couldn't put a roadway that went up to Target within 100 feet of Jackson Creek Parkway on Baptist Road, for example. There's a spacing criteria on Baptist Road because of its functional classification that precludes doing that.
Okay.
The traffic study also has to look at traffic movement and look at delays at each of their intersections, and it discusses how many trips in and out, what the average daily traffic is on a development. And for example, let's say that instead of one target, they wanted to put 4 targets on that site. The process would be such that they would have to prove that the number of daily trips that they were adding wasn't going to change the functional classification on the road where the trip traffic was going to travel. In a traffic study, they go 60% of traffic is going to take a left, 40% is going to take a right. And they have to justify why they made that, how they came to that conclusion. And the Institute of Traffic Engineers helps them decide. And they use software, traffic engineers. But anyway, so let's say that the people turning left out of their driveway, the ADT is enough, 25,000 cars a day, that the little local collector that they're all turning onto couldn't handle it. The ADT is greater than what that road can safely handle. They would be asked and mandated to bring that road up to the functional classification of the standard they were creating with their development. So they might have to bring it up to a major arterial standard with sidewalks, curb, gutter, the additional right-of-way width, which might mean securing right-of-way from people who lived along that road. So it makes it harder, it makes it more of a process to have development that brings a lot of daily traffic into an area where the roads aren't sized to handle it, if that makes sense.
Sure. Okay, so some things I would like for you to consider to add or maybe even put back in. And maybe and if you tell me that it doesn't, it's not needed, I'm fine with that. But in our current road design, it says direct access to a budding property from a collector street, whether major or minor, is not permitted unless no other access is reasonably available. And I say that because we share roads with county, we share roads with Triview. There's a lot of things that are mixed in together in here. And what I would not want to do is create an undue burden on Monument for some other jurisdiction if there's reasonable access. And that was in our current design manual.
I think it's in there, but we need to check and make sure.
Okay. Also, yeah, page 2, sorry, 3. Also, sometimes development tries to use traffic studies to justify access that wouldn't normally be there, like they're a high traffic user and the road classification doesn't permit that, but they require additional access. I would like something that says that can't happen based on traffic studies. I mean, all this stuff is appealable, right? Which brings me to another one.
Well,
I'm
sorry.
sure.
I just want to make sure we understood that. I want to understand where he's coming from so that we can address it properly.
Sure. From what I'm understanding of that statement is that they're justifying additional access points because of the large generation of traffic.
Correct.
Yeah.
Where it normally wouldn't be permitted on the road classification, but because they generate so much traffic, they need these extra access points, which may impact us.
Correct. And I'm guessing the fire department will have some input on that as well.
Sure.
So we'll revisit that one.
Yeah, and I'll send you this stuff.
Okay.
And then I'm assuming that roads are classified in segments because not every place might not be a major collector everywhere. It might be just in a section. Is that part of this as well?
Yes.
So it's like a segmented classification. And because there is no perfect road in this town and there's no perfect access points, lots of times you need to make, I guess variances would be the word, to the code in order for that to work. Is there something that triggers a certain percentage? So the town staff has a range that they can use, like up to 20% variances or whatever. Otherwise, is there a public process that comes back after that? Or is that just completely handed off to an administrative process?
So let me just use a real world example. Okay, just to try to tell you what would happen. So you have a piece of property that's zoned commercial and it's got 125 feet of frontage. It changes hands, nothing's been built on it. Somebody wants to build on it. Maybe it's on 105. So that access is controlled and has to be approved by CDOT. But at the same time, CDOT or the town can't tell that person that they can't have a driveway to that property because that would be a taking. So we have to be careful there.
Sure.
But one of the things that we do in this code or in these standards is encourage shared driveways. In fact, mandate them if they're possible. We require that in the planning of a road, if there is a stub that needs to be made to allow another user to access that stub, that's taken into consideration. So, for example, you have street A that comes up through subdivision, then you've got a little bit of street B, and this develops over here. This can be extended through that subdivision to provide their dual access so that they don't have to have additional access points off the arterial that's being served. So we get in front of it a little bit, but there are cases where a taking precludes complete intervention, if that makes sense.
Sure. But I guess I'm talking more about like a variance. So say the only access point is too close to another intersection or something like that. There is room for town staff to make an exception for that. And I'm fine with that. But is there a trigger of where something like that becomes too much that it needs to go to a public hearing for a public process?
So I think what you're asking is, it probably is going to be more reliant on the code rather than the design guidelines or the design standards. So I think what we'll do is make sure that this is written in a way that then we're going to have to change the code in many facets. So we could take a closer look at that. I understand what you're asking. And I actually get it. I think that it's something we can create some limits and limitations on there so that I'm not stuck having, being put in the position of administratively approving something that probably should be coming before council for their approval. For the most part, most of our developments are going to be coming in front of you anyway when you get to that type of size or that impact. But I think what we could do is take a closer look at the code when we're updating the code and make sure that we address that.
Okay, thanks. That's really all the important stuff I have. I'll send an email to Madeline and she can forward it to you. And you're not gonna hurt my feelings if you just say this doesn't apply. It's just things that have come up here before that I like to get in front of, as long as we're going through this.
Appreciate that perspective.
Sure.
Here's another question for you. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you said that I may have misheard you when you're doing your presentation. You said that the traffic analysis, traffic studies won't be more than 2 years old?
That's correct.
The
Okay, well,
counts.
so
Counts.
under B, TAC 6, TAC 1, TAC 3, traffic volumes used in the analysis shall be no more than 1 year old from the date of application submittal, which I like that because of the growth of the town and surrounding areas. Vice the 2 year. I just want to, I like where it says 1 year. Vice what you said on your brief, 2 years. So I didn't know if there was a difference of what you're presenting to what I actually read in this entire document and I wrote down notes on.
So if I, what I would like to do is take a closer look at that, figure out where that 2 year standard came from and make sure that you understand the ramifications of reducing it down to a 1 year and what the what standard that we might be impacting and working with El Paso County or with the city of Colorado Springs, which we have been working with closely to make sure that we don't go transition one rule to the other. And to answer the question,
one of the reasons why I like the 1 year is because we could be talking about development on Jackson Creek, but yet the growth across the street of 105, that's going to affect traffic going on Jackson Creek. That's why I like the 1 year instead of the 2. As an example.
I'm not disagreeing with that. I just want to make sure that we come back with a solid answer for you.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, and I'm surprised by that. Sorry to misspeak.
It's quite all right.
It was 460 pages.
It was a long.
400 TAC 1.
On this side of the dais, anything?
I just have a comment. I want to say thank you to staff for putting links in the packet. Yes, I did what the mayor did as well, and I opened up the link and went, really?
I watched a hockey game while it was opening.
Oh, I did. I don't blame you for that, but I couldn't get past a lot of those pages because I didn't understand the lingo, but be that as it may. I just want to say thanks for doing it that way, even though this is a lot.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
So, comments.
Oh,
You
you want
can,
more?
you go, no, I don't want any more comments right now, but
What are you doing?
this has been put, this is out for the public to look at. I want, and for you. So, it is going to be posted at, townofmonument.org/planning. You'll be able to click that long link and wait for it to download and review it yourself or your neighbor or others. And then any comments could be sent to, planning@tomgov.org. And we want your comments. We've collected some comments for the stormwater management plan. We want your comments for this as well. There's a lot to cover. Yes, sir.
Have we included or invited the other metro districts to look at this specifically? Because some of these changes will affect them. And the
Yes, and then tomorrow, now if that's been publicly presented to you, tomorrow, those emails will go out and remind everyone that it's on our website, so that they could take a look at it. We have a collection date through May 15th, 2026, at 5 p.m. I encourage anybody who has questions about this to reach out to me, and I'll put them in contact with Shelley and Taylor. They are the experts. They also have a group of people behind them that if they don't have the direct answer, they'll put it to someone else at IMEG to find that answer for us. This is a complicated document. I wouldn't be surprised that we come back with some other tweaks to it that are different. I am not pressuring you to approve this on June 1st, but the longer we take to approve this, the more things that get away from us. So I appreciate you taking a look at this long document and taking it as seriously as you do. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Next up, ordinance number 09/2026, an ordinance granting approval of the final plan unit development for Alpine dealership at Falcon Commerce Center. Is Jenna out? You taking Jenna's spot?
So let me start over. Yeah, she's not able to be here tonight. So I'm going to make this very brief from my side and from staff side. On April 20th, you were presented a PUD presentation for Alpine Buick. There were concerns expressed during that meeting and comments that were expressed during that meeting and then you ultimately continued that public hearing to tonight. So this will be a continuation of a public hearing. I'm going to pass it immediately over to the applicant so they can take you through the application and share with you how they're going to be addressing or how they're asking and showing that they're addressing your comments from the last meeting. And then I'm available if you have any questions. And, Will, can you bring up their presentation? He's doing it, so thank you. Come on up, Brooke. This will work for you.
Good evening, town councilors. My name is Brooks Swenson with NES, and I'm joined here with the owners of Alpine Buick GMC here tonight. Yvette Dominguez and Mike Draw are here. We also have Waleed El Khoury with West Night Architecture and Andrea Barlow also with NES. So first of all, I just wanted to say thank you for the opportunity to regroup as a team and address some of the concerns which you all raised at the April 6th town council hearing. We'll go ahead and get right into those. Again, this is a request for approval of a final PUD development plan for the Alpine Buick dealership at Falcon Commerce Center. I'll start by reiterating some of the Planning Commission recommendations that came with their conditions that came with their recommendation. First was about the vehicle display area. It's to be limited to a maximum of 13 vehicles as depicted on the final PUD plan. And the vehicle display spaces need to be a surface that's durable, dust-free, and all weather, such as concrete, asphalt, or millings over a compacted base. Another condition was that no parking be allowed in the future Phase 2 pad site. So as you recall, there's 2 phases and there's a large area that's going to be left for the Phase 2 building. So parking will not be permitted on that pad site. The third condition was that the Terrazzo Drive sidewalk be a concrete surface as opposed to the kind of breeze trail surface that it is today. So those were all agreed to. And then some additional considerations that came from the April 6th Town Council hearing. One was in regards to the proposed 35-foot height pylon sign along I-25 that is no longer being proposed, and instead we're requesting 2 code-approved 10-foot height monument signs instead, one for the Alpine Buick dealership and the other for the potential future dealership. A second consideration was in regards to the metal paneling on the buildings. We've got some clarification on that, but also our solution is to amend the note 4A4 from the design guidelines in the final PUD, and amend those to allow for metal panel components within this final PUD, as approved by the Falcon Commerce Design Review Board. And then lastly, we have some diagrams to share about the semi-truck loading and unloading, as well as some of the snow storage areas. But there was a recommendation that no semi-trucks be allowed to unload on Terrazzo. So that's another condition that we're willing to agree to with this approval as well. Okay, so getting right into the metal panel building discussion. So the images on the left here show what was intended to be discouraged by the design guidelines. The design guidelines, Article 9.4, was in the Falcon Commerce design guidelines, was intended to discourage the use of all metal buildings within the industrial areas. So that's what's being shown here. The design guidelines do not prohibit metal being used on other types of buildings. So commercial, in this case, that would be permitted. And then the images to the right here show some of the other dealerships that use metal paneling. And as you can see, they're totally different in character. These would be considered more of an architectural metal panel that has a lot more variety of colors and textures, and you could do a lot more with them. It's a component of the building. It's not the primary or sole material of the building. I just look at my notes here. Let's see. Really, a lot of this is just a typo in the preliminary PUD plan. And so there were some letters provided from CP Real Estate. One, which is addressed to town staff, that acknowledges what's an error in the preliminary PUD plan, and also just kind of clarifies the intent of what we were trying to get to with the architectural guidelines. So this letter was included with your packet. That is just clarification from the design review board. And we also provided the approval that this Alpine dealership went through the design review process, and they went and visited other buildings that were similar in character, and they agreed that this was meeting the intent of the design guidelines. The other hot topic was about the pylon signs. So what we've pulled that out, and what's being proposed now is 2 10-foot tall monument signs. So This is the revised sign design, and that is the location for this one would be on the lower half of the site. And then the future sign, the design is to be determined, but would be limited to 10 feet in height. Code allows for up to a 10-foot height sign when you have over 300 feet of frontage. This property has over 500 feet of double frontage. So there's the I-25 and then the terrazzo frontage. So we feel that a 10-foot height sign or allowing for two would be permitted by code in this case. This plan depicts in red arrows the proposed semi-truck loading and unloading route. So they would come in at the main intersection at Squadron and Terrazzo, and then circulate around the property. On the northern border, I've kind of called out where those would unload, and then the route they would take to get out. And then in blue, we've depicted where snow is proposed to be piled. So this represents 81 spaces, along with some just purely landscape areas where snow would be plowed into. Looking back at the parking requirements, we had 254 spaces over the requirement. So this 81 spaces, we could easily accommodate this, and it's just a matter of, parking them indoors during the time. Another thing that to consider is that if there was a snowstorm, we've allotted for visitor guest parking spaces too, so it's less likely that there would be people coming to test drive cars during a snowstorm. So it's really an operations question, but they have an excess in parking to be able to accommodate. Yes, thank you. And just to kind of recap on everything, we believe that Alpine Auto would be a strong addition to the town of Monument and to the Falcon Commerce Center. This is a low impact use compared to the other uses that could go onto this parcel. There'd be a lot less heavy truck traffic with this use. The phase one of this project is expected to generate approximately $5 million annually in the parts and accessories sales at a 7.63% tax rate. That equates to roughly $380,000 per year in sales tax, and approximately $190,000 of that would go to the town. And that's just for phase one. So when phase two comes on, that could generate approximately $400,000 to $500,000 of sales tax annually. Beyond just the sales tax, I feel that Alpine would be a great impact to the community. They'd be adding 125 to 150 jobs just with phase one. That alone has an impact on the community. They're committed to the communities that they're in. They offer mentorship and internship programs, partnering with local high schools. They also contribute to local organizations, to name a few: the Children's Hospital, Ronald McDonald House, Tessa, CASA. I didn't know really much about Alpine, taking this project on, but was really kind of inspired to see all the work that they do in the communities that they serve. And you go on any one of their websites and you see photos of all kinds of community events, charitable races, and it's really cool to see. And I'll just end on the wellness, education, and empowerment are pillars of the Alpine culture, and I think they'd be a great addition to the town. and Falcon Commerce Center. So thank you. I will just turn it over for questions.
Thank you. Questions from council to they've had their turn.
Yeah, no,
We'll move back down.
yeah, we usually start down there. Yeah, I appreciate addressing the concerns that we had at the last meeting. I think what a little bit of confusion on what we're looking for, and that's not necessarily from you. It could be from Mr. Blunk as well, stating that we would like a letter from the Falcon Commerce Center Design Review Board. Yes, because that's what the PUD says, right? So what we're looking for is you guys just to follow the rules that we agreed to.
Mhm.
That's what we're looking for. I think Alpine's a great company, and I think we look forward to welcoming them to Monument. I just want to follow the rules.
Yeah,
That's what I,
definitely.
I have, um, the sign, I understand you guys went down to 10 feet. Great. Personally, as as I said last time, there's an example. If you go down to Motor City, Bob Pincus has that 6-foot rock arch. I think
Oh.
would have been really aesthetic and pleasing and matching what we are looking for. Because this is still a raised elevation, so that 10-foot is still going to be around 20. I'm not sure how, I think Dan would have to help me out. I'm not sure how tall the current sign is that's out there. 35 feet.
Plus.
Yeah, so, okay, that's my comment.
Oh, that one's 35.
So I was not here on April 6th.
Yeah.
I was working hard in Hawaii. It was legit, honest. So I looked at the I looked at the material, and I really think this is a sharp looking building. The glass with some of the metal, and I noticed that you brought some show and tell.
Yes.
It's an upgraded show and tell from the last one.
Is it?
Exactly.
I really.
Oh, yes.
Oh wow, and we've got Vanna White.
Vanna.
Yes.
Thank you, Andy.
Yeah.
You're the next contestant.
I think this is a really sharp looking building, and I think this will add, and then obviously, having a dealership, and a company like Alpine, I think this enhances Monument. So those are my my comments.
Okay, well, it is a public hearing item,
All right then.
and so we will open the public hearing to the public. Is there anybody here in town hall that would like to speak for or against this project, this ordinance? Oh, hello, come on up. If you could, please sign in and let us know who you are.
It's okay. Hi, I'm Shaylee and Sarah. It's green. Okay. I'm Shaylee and Sarah. I'm not for or against it. I just have some general questions as a resident of Monument related to how something like this would impact our infrastructure, as well as our water intake. As we all know, that water is very finite, right? And not that cars aren't important. I drive a car. We all drive cars. But construction like that, cars, they definitely have emissions and can impact our roads. And we also know that that road is very busy to begin with. So I was just curious if we had understandings of how that stuff was being handled. That's all.
Thank you. We'll we'll hold off for the applicant to speak to it. Is there anybody else in town hall that would like to speak for or against? Anybody online, Will?
There are no hands raised, Mayor.
Okay. So we will close the public hearing and give NES an opportunity to speak to the comments that were made.
Okay, thank you for your comment and participation. So to answer your question about the infrastructure, so all of the infrastructure is considered for the entire Falcon Commerce Center. In my last presentation, I had a little bit more about it, but there's a master, it's called a preliminary PD plan, and with it, we have to study, where all the water goes, drainage, traffic, water use, other utilities, all that. So that's all been taken into consideration. The traffic impact, we had a letter that was provided with this final PUD, just confirming that this uses that the existing roadways can accommodate this traffic use, and that it's actually a lower impact use than a lot of what could have gone in there. So additionally, in terms of water, it's actually not a huge user of water. A car dealership, there's the car wash, but it uses recycled water, and it's not a spot-free rinse, which apparently uses like 3 times as much water as a normal just recycled water. So, yeah.
Thank you for that. Bringing it back to the council for any other comments, questions, discussion?
Anyone got anything? If not,
So there's a few motions that are suggested on there,
Yeah.
plus
Oh, yeah.
the comments that they just made, which probably have to bring that slide back up as well, but the planning commission had
with the
stuff plus
conditions.
plus the
conditions.
Do we have
the
any
new
conditions?
conditions that just came in.
So either Dan, bring up
Let's see right here.
that slide.
It's gonna be the
Not in
memo.
charge. I think the conditions that you have, if you refer to both the plan commission's recommendations. Thank you, sir.
That's
Where I refer to both the plan commission's conditions and the conditions that were mentioned this evening by the applicant. I will make sure that the plans are put that way, and I'll work with the town clerk as well to make sure that they're outlined properly in the final document that the mayor would sign and the clerk would sign, and then that ordinance doesn't become effective for 10 days after that it's been approved. So.
right. So as I'm looking at this, the ordinance language, it does not
not in
actually
there, no.
contain the conditions of both. There are findings of facts, which sort of addresses it, but doesn't put it into the language, I think, what the council's looking for. So
Is it a matter of reading off this slide that's on the screen, or is it a matter of saying conditions laid out in slide? What's
this is not our,
oh,
this is not the town's product.
okay,
So there were some suggestions
okay,
on what the language could be for
gotcha.
approval, and I don't
Okay.
remember where. Did you have a?
Those are in either in Jenna's staff report or it's in the presentation that Jenna
So
put together.
page of the packet, look,
I think
here it is,
Is-
page 44,
Which attachment?
the packet,
Okay,
the 179 page packet.
Well, it's the staff.
It's the staff presentation.
Yeah.
It's Civic Plus, go into the staff report.
got it.
Yeah. It's
So
right in the
I
staff
see four,
report.
I see suggested motion with 4 conditions.
Yeah, then we're gonna add. I think that has everything.
I thought so.
Yeah, I
too.
think it
Is
does.
there
Yeah,
another
that's,
one
that's
missing
what I was
from
gonna read, so.
Just those.
Was there,
Oh, here. I think that's,
So if,
got it here.
So slide 7. Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
This is the new ones that just came.
but just want to make sure that is there any other conditions that council's considering? Or do we think this covers it? Do we want to go with the paved sidewalk and accept the conditions that the planning commission recommended?
isn't that in here?
Yeah, it is. I'm just making sure that we want to do that.
I'm fine with it.
Yeah, I'm good with the suggested.
Oh, the
motion.
signs aren't in the conditions. So
I'll add
the
that.
two 10-foot
you,
signs.
you can add the signs, but those are also in compliance with the code. They're not asking for any type of
That's- yeah, that
variant.
doesn't
They'd be
require-
coming in for a permit. It's included in their site plan, so it's set by the plan itself, but it doesn't, you can make it a condition if you'd like to.
Okay.
Otherwise it is already protected by the code.
If it's already in the codes,
Yeah, that should be good.
I'd make the condition because it's on the PUD in the packet.
okay, well then,
So maybe just reference to
that.
two 10-foot signs as depicted
Reference
in
it.
the site plan.
Okay, I'll reference it. Yeah.
um,
Okay.
and no pylon.
See what that verbiage is again. Hold on. Oh, of course, Will just took it down.
It's
It's in the.
here.
See what you got. Yeah, that's what I have. The only thing I have the same thing. It's just doesn't talk about the sign. I'll ad lib it.
Just generalize
Yeah,
it. They'll
Laura has
get
it
it in writing and I won't sign it until it's.
I'll make a motion to adopt ordinance number 09 Tech 2026, an ordinance granting approval of the Alpine dealership at Falcon Commerce. Final PUD plan located east of the intersection of Squadron Drive and Terrazzo Drive, supported by the attached exhibits and the findings of fact defined in this memo with the following conditions. 1, the vehicle display area in the southeast corner of the lot, as shown on page 8 of the final PUD plan set, shall be utilized as presented, having a maximum of 13 vehicles parked or displayed in this area, and any vehicles parked or displayed in this area shall be parked on an approved surface consisting of durable, dust-free, all-weather materials such as concrete, asphalt millings installed over a compacted base, pavers installed over a compacted base, or other similar hard surface materials. 2, no vehicles shall be parked or displayed on the building pad for Phase 2, Building B, during development. The existing subsurface sidewalk on the west property line is to be paved with concrete from the intersection of Squadron Drive to the south property line. At no time may delivery vehicles for the subject property be staged on Terrazzo Drive, and monument signage along I-25. No highway pylon sign will be permitted, and instead 2 code-approved 10-foot height monument signs are provided.
We have a motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Okay, that motion passes 5-1. Next up, ordinance number 12-2026, an ordinance repealing and readopting Title 9 of the Monument Municipal Code. Does anybody need a break?
One more.
All right, we'll go push through. It's on, who's doing Title 9? Is that you? Ashley? It says town attorney on it, so I'm just. Should we take a break? Okay, we're gonna take 10 minutes. Sorry, I just wanted to get everybody's attention.
Well, it has been 10 minutes.
Success.
All right, there's a few cookies left out in the hallway in case you didn't get any. Are we ready to begin on that ordinance?
Yes, Mayor.
Okay,
So the presentation should be pretty brief. We reviewed and revised Title IX. You guys were provided both the redlined and clean versions of the title. So I'm here to answer questions more or less. This did go through PD as well, and we incorporated all of their requests and considerations as well.
okay. Any questions or comments from council on the repeal and readopting of Title IX? No, pretty cut dry. Okay. Public hearing. So we will open it up to anybody who is sitting here in town hall that would like to speak for or against this ordinance. And I'll come running up here at once.
All the criminals are going to come run.
Will, anybody online?
No hands raised, Mayor.
Okay. Then we'll close the public hearing and bring it back for some riveting conversation or a motion.
I will make a motion to approve ordinance number 12-2026, an ordinance repealing and readopting Title IX of the Monument Municipal Code.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. A motion passes 6-0. Next up, resolution 30-2026, resolution renaming a section of road within the town from Old Denver Road to Dock Close Road. Once again, is Jenna here? Dan?
I mean, I can fill in for Dan. This is just we decided that bringing a resolution would help to ensure a good paper trail for this process. So this is basically this reiterating the vote that you already took last week.
Okay, comments, questions from the council? This is not a public hearing item. This is just a simple, straight resolution.
I will make a resolution to adopt
You're going to make a resolution?
or,
A motion.
yeah, a motion, sorry. I'm looking at the word resolution. I'm like, I'm gonna make a resolution. I will make a motion to adopt resolution number 30 TAC. Wow, I can't speak. 2026, a resolution renaming a section of road within the town from Old Denver Road to Dock Close Road.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. No more proclamations for you.
We got it.
And I'm spent.
That motion passes 6-0. And we are having an event.
I believe it's May 22nd at 10 a.m. We'll invite the family, and the public is welcome to come as well to celebrate the name of the road.
On that note, because I talked to Madeline about this, and only because I spoke to the McGuire son, they are not related.
Oh,
So they're not related. They're different McGuire families, completely unrelated to one another. So
Oh, well, there you go.
Okay.
Mr. McGuire called me, not about this, but I brought it up to him. So he corrected us. Okay, 31-2026, adopting the Pikes Peak Regional Multi-Hazard Mitigation Plan. Mr. Archuleta.
All righty. Good evening again, council. So I bring a very large document to enjoy your reading. It's over 1,000 pages for the whole hazard mitigation plan. So over the past year, we've been working with El Paso County and the Pikes Peak Regional Office of Emergency Management to work off of the last hazard mitigation plan, which was developed in 2020. So we kind of were updating our old action items in that, still seeing if those were still relevant, as well as developing new action items. These can be anything from natural disaster to human caused disasters, threats, anything like that that poses a threat to the town of Monument. There are a lot of action items. We had to make an action item for every possible scenario that could affect us. So as you read through, I don't want to go through all of them because there's a lot and it's really dry, but you can go through them. If you have any questions for any of these action items, please let me know. But it's us working with could be Monument Fire, it's all of us in-house, it's us working with the YMCA, school districts, other metropolitan districts to try and come up with solutions to help us in case some of these natural events occur. But I'd be more than happy to answer any questions. I took lead on this, but everybody within our staff also had a hand in helping us develop this.
Anybody? I mean, did you go through the list?
I went through the monument section of the list.
I did not see any, what was our hunting license from this last year?
Zombie hunting?
I didn't see any zombie apocalypse option. Well,
we're covered in Monument at the zombie apocalypse because we have our hunting license.
Okay.
All the other jurisdictions, I can't speak for them.
Ken, I know something's.
He's trying to find it in that 1,000-page document because he didn't make notes. So while he's trying to find that, I was going to ask this question and then I decided not to because it referenced it in other places, but it said something about agencies that have jurisdiction or something, and it named El Paso County and I think the state of Colorado, but didn't say anything about Monument in that section. But then the rest of the sections was Monument Planning Department and all of that. So I assume that that's the way that's supposed to be.
Yes.
And
So Tetra Tech was the company that helped El Paso County develop in this, and they're following FEMA standards, state standards, and all that stuff. So they were the ones that ultimately developed the whole. Like we focused just on the town of Monument, and then they kind of pieced it all together for us. So everything that they said, we didn't have a say in what was actually put into the document, other than like our action items. The Monument, the 2040 comp plan was included in that. That was a big change from the previous one. And then it was just kind of, they were asking for a lot of just info that related to Dan and the planning team.
Okay. And then the second one, both these are minor points, just it said something about neighboring jurisdictions or something, and it said Woodmore, but it didn't name Palmer Lake.
Because Palmer Lake has their own hazard mitigation. And we didn't have any MOUs with Palmer Lake because they were creating their own action items. Where Woodmore, they kind of just piggyback with us.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Makes sense. Thanks.
Okay, so I found it. I looked through all the titles and I went through a lot of it, and then I really spent some time reading the aircraft crash site. I noticed that there wasn't any number one, that the Blue Angel landed short went out of gas.
That was
not out of Blue Angel, Thunderbird.
Yeah, Thunderbird.
Thunder Chicken, yeah.
A Blue Angel would never do that.
Yeah, I was gonna say
A
that.
Blue Angel will never run out of gas, first off. I understand that totally. Anyway, I
first.
I noticed that you guys didn't put the Air Force Academy on there, especially since they have 3 type of operations: student pilot, glider, and parachute.
So as far as like a hazard that would impact us, so We just built our hazards based off of what they were giving us. So
Okay.
they were the ones that it just major aircraft incident was the only one that they told us, and they was a total encompassing one. But that's where, we
Yeah.
talked to Monument Fire, and they go off of whatever the Air Force Academy does, and then they piggyback on what their protocols are, and then they would
Yeah.
relay that all to us, but Monument Fire would take that
And
lead.
something that we deal with, as an example, from Colorado Springs, hot air balloons. Every year they get blown off course and they land on Carson. And I can't tell you an incident where one of them landed in a,
Don't tell me they in a live fire.
I'm not gonna say that, but I don't think they're gonna come up this way, but I just know that there's some operations that are conducted up here that could be potentially
Okay.
dangerous because, like I said, and then you go into the Air Force Academy graduations where the Thunderbirds do their flight operations for several days and they anchor off points over Monument to join. Yeah, so I just noticed that, so. Okay, thanks.
Okay, anybody else? I get it. I get it. Hey, C-130s vibrate the houses all day long, right?
I will make a motion to approve resolution number 31, TAC 2026, a resolution adopting the Pikes Peak Regional Multi-Hazard Mitigation Plan.
Second. Marco?
I
Ken?
voted. I voted.
Okay. That's okay. Ken was busy dreaming of his airfield. That motion passes 6-0. Resolution 32, 2026, resolution to approve a contract renewal with IT managed service provider, which we should have just named it, right? No?
I don't know, we just didn't.
Oh, okay. Will?
Well, first of all, it's a pleasure to get to come back and talk to you again. And I'm just going to make it short and brief. Envision IT Solutions has provided MSP services for the town for the past 2 years and has met or exceeded all contractual expectations. Their performance has supported secure, stable, and reliable IT operations across all departments. And Kevin and his team, Kevin Gray and his team have been outstanding at providing me directions and thoughts and ideas when we have to have issues and we tackle things. This is the last year per our ordinance. We can keep a contractor up for 3 years before we go for RFP. And I would really like to keep them because we've got a really great relationship and I want to continue that. And hopefully next year, I haven't scared them away and they want to come back again when we do RFP. So with that said, I'd just like approval to continue on with this year with their contract.
Okay. I see that the said contractor is here. If any council members want to start throwing darts at him. I don't think there'll be any questions, but I mean, I haven't heard any singular complaint by any staff member ever. Anything?
Yeah.
Okay. Someone want to make a motion?
Sure. I'll make a motion to approve resolution number 32, TAC 2026, a resolution to approve a contract renewal with IT managed service provider.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All right, that motion passes 6-0.
Thank you,
very
council.
much. Next up, we have future agenda
Thank you.
authorization items. Ms. Vanden Hoek, anything for future items?
Dates, I just want to remind you of. Have a request from the planning commission to have a workshop on Wednesday, June 10th. This would be a combined workshop with the planning commission and the town council. And the purpose would be to discuss this is gonna be a hard word, architectural standards, specifically regarding metal buildings. The planning commission is looking for some clarity on the council's goals and concerns. And they have a list of questions that they would like to send to you previous to the workshop, but then we can go through those answers and your comments during the workshop. So is that date and time good for everyone?
I am not here June 10th, but don't delay it.
We shouldn't totally delay it.
Hawaii again?
Yeah, where are you going?
No,
now?
Italy.
Really?
Oh, that's right.
You can call it.
That'll be under council comments. That'll be.
MS Teams?
Sure. Yeah. Hold your breath.
What time?
Yeah.
6 p.m. Correct.
I have nothing scheduled that far out.
We'd have it's a concerts in the park night, but
Oh, wait.
but it's also a regular planning commission meeting night. So
We got to do something about, we got to do something about planning commission meetings during concert season.
Yeah, I mean,
First of all, they don't ever get to go.
Yeah.
And they're residents.
well, they only meet once a month, so they would get to go the other 3 weeks.
Who's playing that night? Any idea?
On the website, I'd have to look it up.
it's on the website.
All right. I guess.
It's only week 2.
Long, because they'll have their meeting.
All right. So June 10th. Anything else?
Just wanted to bring to your attention that this week, well, it's May, so it's all the recognize everything that we do weeks. So there's a long list of them. So this week is Public Service Week. So recognize the work that our public service employees do. So all public service, police, public works, administration. So just appreciate their work. It's also National Clerks Week this week. So appreciate what all of that our clerk and our deputy clerk do for our community.
You know,
It is also Economic Development Week, which is just primarily championing the work that we do in economic development, which you all have a hand in as well. So thank you for your service with that. And then as we recognized earlier, National Police Week will be next week. And then following May 17th through May 23rd is National Public Works Week. So yes, all the weeks are recognized in May.
Wow.
yeah,
Okay.
Those are the only items I have for you tonight.
Okay. Next up is we've got some reports. From the finance department, going to give us some good news.
Now's the fun stuff. We got to talk numbers. Good evening. I'll wait for slides to come up here. All righty. So just a brief overview of this memorandum. I want to let everyone know that this is published on the town website after this meeting. And then the sales tax collections for 2026 are up by 20% over 2025. However, I do want to note that this is kind of a poor reflection because 2025 was our first quarter of going full self-collect sales tax. And so we'll see a more meaningful comparison as the year continues. But it is worth noting that we are 6% over the 2024 numbers, and that was collected by the Department of Revenue. So we are going on the up and up there. And then our Q1 revenues came in just slightly under what was projected. And this is due to some turmoil and different things inflecting our interest rates. And then as we continue to reduce our expenditures to maintain the required reserve that is set by the town council policy. And then I did want to note for the Water Enterprise Fund that we have $200,000 more in expenditures than in revenues. And then just another note that the 2F is reflected differently in 25 and 26 than it is in 24. All right, so I'm going to roll through these pretty quickly. So please stop me if you have any questions, because there's about 20 slides of financial numbers. But we have the general fund revenues by category for the year to date, so Q1, and they're all going to be comparison in a 3-year time. So we have, you can see our sales tax numbers there. That's primarily our revenue for the general fund next to property tax. As we continue through, we can see the sales tax of the general fund. And so we're up. It shows TriView's numbers here as well. And then we have our top 5 revenue sources for the general fund. And then this is a graph that just breaks out how revenue, the percentages is earned for the general fund. So 54% is our largest piece of sales tax, and then property tax coming in at the 18%. And then how is the sales tax dispersed? And so we get 46% general fund, 15% to the 2F fund, 19% to the TriView Metro District, and then the remainder you're going to that 2A Water and Infrastructure Fund. So now we go to expenditures by department for the general fund. So we break it out by public works, administrative and legal, court, and then planning. And then we have law enforcement there. And this is everything that's not included in the 2F piece. So this is, I think, one of the best slides just as a quick glance to see where we stand for this quarter. And you can see that facilities is quite a bit higher than what we would like to see at that 25% by Q1. And this is due to the expenditures for the Verigy project. And 126,000 of this is reimbursable for the grant. So it'll be coming back to us as revenue. And then we have general fund expenditures by source. So just kind of break it down in a different way. So you can see it rather than by department, you can see that it's personal costs, operations, and so on. And then we have the expenditures versus revenues for the general fund. So we're about 770,000 more in revenues than we are in expenditures for the first quarter, which is great. And then we have the $300,000 reserve for Tabor. And this number is rough. It will change when we complete the 2025 audit because it is a calculation that comes from our ending balances. And then we'll go into Water Enterprise Fund, 2F, 2A, and then law enforcement. And they're all going to be the same layout of these slides. So we have our revenue by source. The biggest one here is you can see that our impact fees are down, and this is due to development. So as we see more development happening on our side of the town, we'll be able to charge for more taps, more meters, things along those lines. Our expenditures for the Water Enterprise Fund. And then the comparison of revenue versus expenditures for Water Enterprise Fund. And I do want to note here that the 20 million that you see as the ending balance will change. This is 10 million of that is the water impact fee money that will be pulled out for reserve for growth purposes, as well as the depreciation entry that will be made by the auditors when that completes. Then we roll right into 2A Water Infrastructure. So we have, this is primarily sourced by sales tax. As you can see, that's increased a little bit here. And then our capital project spending out of the 2A Water Infrastructure is our primary where that we spend the money out of. And then our comparison here. For 2F, and this is why that note at the beginning was kind of important, just so you can see the only revenue coming in for 2F now is from our sales tax, and we don't have that transfer going in that was happening in 24 and years earlier. Expenditures for the 2F, again, the 2024 is not very comparable because all of 2F was law enforcement. And so we were counting all of personnel from there. And then the comparison. And then for capital projects. So again, this is based on permitting. So the more permits that we give out, the more use tax that we bring in. And then the highway user tax fee is roughly the same as it has been in the years past. And then I do want to note that we have little to no capital spending out of this because of the expenditure cuts that we had in the budget this year. So we won't see a lot, but this is not sustainable and something that we'll have to address going into 27 to start having those capital projects reestablished. And then that comparison graph, as you can see, there's very little expenditures coming out. So that is it for the quick recap of the Q1 26 financial report. And I'm going to roll right over into my investment presentation unless there's any questions related to that.
Not a question, just observation.
Yes.
It would appear, despite public comments made, we're not broke.
We're not broke.
Wow, that is so strange how
Loud.
people in the public seem to think they know more than the finance department does.
We have a lot to grow on and we need, to find new revenue sources, but we're staying afloat right now.
So I have a question for you, Steve.
Yes.
Because you're in the finance department and well, no, but I've had conversations with some other people, but I'm trying to get in my brain. So on development, on use tax. So typically those are underestimated because people are guessing at what they're going to spend.
Mm-hmm.
But when material is purchased, it should be dropped off and delivered. And then the supplier should be paying the sales tax. And the use tax should be something that's audited at the end of the project. And if they've overpaid, then there's rebates to that.
Yes. So right now we have two ways to calculate the evaluation of use tax during permitting. So it's 50% of the permit itself. And Dan, if you can help me if I'm getting this wrong, but it's 50% of the valuation of the permit at 2%, or it's the cost of materials half at 2%. And so at that point, we collect the use tax at the time of permit. And then you're correct. Now that we are self-collect, we have the ability to go back and audit all of the materials that were used on that project and either give a rebate or collect what wasn't paid. And I can let Lori speak on that more because she's actually started a couple of those audits I believe she's auditing 4 companies that permitted last year.
Okay. So if on the sales tax portion of it, it's 2%, is that what you're saying?
That is correct.
So it would be use tax is 2%, but the sales tax is 2%?
And that's where it's kind of strange the way that we do it because they should be the same number. But because the use tax is 2%, they're only paying that 2% rather than the 3.5% of sales tax when they buy the materials for the project.
So when they collect that, like a lumber pack, let's just say, and then the lumber company says, I'm gonna, I want it delivered to Monument. So they pull out Monument sales tax and then they send it in. Is not how it works?
It's based off the permitting of the cost of materials at the time of permit. So they're paying the use tax up front and then they're getting basically the sales tax removed from the cost of the purchase.
Okay. When I used to do that, it was different. They would collect the sales tax and then we had to go back in and audit it after the project was over. So in essence, we were double taxed. That's why we would go back in and have it re-audited.
So we just do the one tax at the time of the permit. So they give us their estimate of materials and then they're charged that 2% based on their total cost rather than paying the sales tax at the time of purchase.
So we need to rectify that to get it up to current sales tax
Yes.
rates.
And that's our recommendation would be to increase the use tax to the cost or the sales tax rate.
Okay. All right, thank you.
When's that coming?
We've talked about it a little bit with the community, the CSLAC, the Service Level Advisory Committee, and we'll be bringing it forward to the council here shortly.
We're actually going to do a community survey on that because it would need to be a ballot item.
It would have, oh,
It's about, it's
Right.
time to increase.
okay. All right, moving on.
Yep. All right. So again, I'll roll through these. Please stop me if you have any questions, and then we can do questions at the end as well. But just a quick reminder of the investment policy that was brought to you this year on March 16th. Our main investment policies are the preservation of capital and protection of investment principles, the maintenance of sufficient liquidity, attainment of market rate, the diversification of an unreasonable market risk, and then the conformance of town policies, state statutes, and federal regulations. So right now, like I mentioned, our interest rates have dropped a little bit. So last year in January, it was at 44,000. We're down to 41,000, and about the same for February and March, bringing our Wells Fargo sweep to about $130,000. Then we have our First National CDs, and this is just a $200,000 or $400,000, excuse me, renewing every year at 4.5%. And then we have our Colorado Trust. So this is a combination of a bunch of different funds. And we'll go to the next slide.
Wait a minute.
Oh, yep.
Go back.
Yep.
I did this last time, showed this slide. What the heck? Why are we carrying a $10.35 number for a Christmas donation fund? Why can't we just put that someplace else?
We can merge it. That's something we can absolutely do. We can merge it into just a different Colorado Trust Fund. It just
seems silly,
okay.
You know, and it almost seems like it costs more. This is a stretch, but it costs more to keep bringing it up than it would be just to do away with it. That's
Absolutely.
my impression.
I believe that we merged 3 Colorado Trust accounts, so it's definitely something that we can do, and we can look at how that money can be used. I believe the reason that it hasn't been merged is it's for a specific fund, and we have to use it for exact purposes. So this is a way of tracking how we can spend that $10. I know it's very minute, but we have to keep track of it for our audit purposes as well.
Buy a beard for Santa.
But going forward, past our $10 investment there, we have our total Colorado Trust investments for Q1 is 81,346. Our Bach financial, so this is principal that we earned for not paying the COP bond on timely manner. So by paying it, we have $283 in there, and this should be pretty low. And then our big $10 million investment from a few years ago has grown, and we're looking at our I realize that I have a typo here of Q4. That should be Q1 2026, excuse me, of 128,321. This brings our total Q1 investments for 2026 up to $341,511.
35 cents.
And 35 cents from our Christmas fund. Any questions on that? Awesome. Well, I will hand it over to Lori then to run through the rest of our sales tax for our reports.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, Steve.
Thanks.
And change in the account balance in that Santa Ana Patrol Fund. It's just that the interest that we've made so far this quarters.
Yeah.
But he stole my thunder. Like he pretty much presented all my things.
You guys need to do better coordination on this next time.
We will going forward. Yeah, so I just have some quick numbers to throw up there. They tie to Steve's numbers. here's just a recap of the Q1 sales tax information. Here's the 3-year comparison. Like Steve mentioned, Q1 comparison is not a fair comparison because Q1 of last year, we were still getting all the taxpayers current and caught up and within the new program. I did have a new slide to present, and this is the top 10 businesses in town, well, in town and within Triview. I cannot show names because that's proprietary information, but I thought it was a good slide for you to see. And then, yeah, my last slide was going to talk about, we do have, I think last quarter when I presented, we had 3 outstanding taxpayers. Of those 3, we have 2 now making payment agreements. So they're caught up, they're current, and they're paying off their balances. The one remaining taxpayer, we are still waiting to hear from. And then, yes, regarding use tax, we're currently initiated 4 audits. We're starting with the in-town businesses. It's based on the certificate of occupancy date, so we can only go back 3 years based on that, which limits us to the businesses that we can use tax audit. But what Steve said is correct. We will, we've asked for their costs, and we will look at those numbers, compare it to their permit costs, and then either refund them or ask for the difference. And yes, it's 2% rather than the 3.5%. So what the builder would do is take their permit, prove that they've paid the taxes up front, and then as they make those purchases, they would then be tax exempt.
Okay, questions, comments?
Well done.
Yeah, well done.
Thank you very much.
Good rundown.
If I could just point out one little thing, our finance department has done a really great job, as you can tell by the Q1 numbers, of really getting this program implemented. And it's taken a lot of hard work and manpower. So I just want to point out that it's been a successful implementation for us. And because of the ability we have to audit and work with the different businesses, I think it's been a good process that we've gone through. So I just wanted to take that moment to point that out and appreciate the finance team for their work on this.
Well, I appreciate them for sure.
Is it just the 3 of them now?
Well, there's Suzanne, Lori, and Steve that are in our finance department. We do still have Colorado Salt as our consultant. So they do help us still with our sales tax. Especially when it comes to these audits and payment agreements and things like that. So we do still have a consultant on board. But yeah, right now that is our finance team.
Okay.
And Jennifer, our director.
Well done.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we'll move on to council comments. Any council members have any comments that they would like? Oh.
As mentioned, I'm not gonna be here from. I will not be here from the 21st of May to the 12th of June.
Whoa.
Yeah.
We're paying you way too much.
Yeah.
I mean, thank you. But I won't be present for the 1 June council meeting.
So what, you're leaving what day again? The
21st of May.
I think it's like 3 a.m. there. You can still hook up.
21st.
I mean,
So you'll be missing
No hablo inglés. What? No
Memorial
comprende.
Day. You're missing Memorial Day,
Oh, that's right.
the ceremony.
Yeah.
what could I say?
I don't know.
Yeah.
He's gonna be missing, USAFA graduation and all the flyovers.
I've been.
You're
present
missing
for-
the ACO announcement.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Darn it.
Okay, any other comments? Ken?
Yeah, just a reminder, I'm out of town from the 21st to the 29th of May. And dust plan, dust plan. Don't forget the dust plan.
Yeah, actually, that's a daily thing. We have been working on, the state permit requirements that Shelley brought up, absolutely had an impact, so no,
Steve?
Nothing.
Yes. This is Drinking Water Week. Just thought you might like to know, so drink water. It's a proclamation by our illustrious governor that this is in fact Drink Water Week.
I did
So-
not get the memo.
I know.
Whiskey saves the aquifers.
You missed that one. Drink water.
One more week of things to do.
Scotch has water in it, so
So does bourbon.
We have this argument about coffee all the time.
Right. Oh, there
Coffee
we
is
go.
water.
You could thank your water technicians for the work that they do to make
Yes.
sure our water is safe to
I'd like to
drink.
thank you for the bourbon that you've helped produce. 300 Days of Shine, I'm sure thanks you.
For me, I apologize for the confusion over email. I will be missing the town hall on the 12th. I'm out of town from the 11th until the 26th. I will be attending remotely for the 18th. And then just want to remind everybody, in case you haven't thought about it yet, that next Sunday is Mother's Day. So my mother personally is my hero. So I want to just kind of mention thank you to all the moms, since we're mentioning all the all the different service employees and all this other stuff. Let's remember, thank our moms.
I'll remind my son.
Good thinking.
Okay, well, since you brought it up, and I don't really have anything, but next Tuesday on the 12th will be our quarterly talk with the town. It's, just us gathering together and hanging out. This time we will have guest speaker, County Clerk and Recorder Steve Schleicher will be here. So he will be able to get people all prepped up and understanding of what's to expect for voting in the coming election cycle, as well as probably telling me again why we don't have another voting box at one of our properties, but that's okay. We'll get everybody to jump on them for that. And if you are in town, there is a visitor center grand opening at USAFA. If you've not had a chance to see it, that is on the 15th. Also, I think I got notice that the last day of school is on the 15th. So
May 15th?
May 15th, yeah.
Gee.
Huh?
No, it's for all kids. All
Yeah, for
kids' last
D38.
days.
So,
Teacher's last day is the 20th.
yep.
D20 is the 21st.
Yeah, okay, that's all I have. If there's no other comments, we will, well, Marco, you've lost your permissions. If someone would like to make a motion to bring us into executive session.
I'll move to go into executive session pursuant to Colorado Revised Statute 24-6-4024B for the purpose of receiving legal advice from the town attorney regarding the town's IGA with Triview Metropolitan District and considerations related to same in connection with the town's water system analysis.
Second. We are adjourning. Yes, we are not coming back out into open session.
Give me just 1 minute. My computer's thinking about things.
Drink water.
Are we waiting for the voting thing? Okay, there we go. Motion passes 6-0. Thank you very much for coming tonight.